Today's video is all about these. It was a problem that I was asked to solve by a good friend of mine that's a cabinet maker. Did I solve it? Yes, I did. And I made a set for myself. So let's get into the video. Welcome back everybody. Today's video, as I said in the intro, I had a good friend of mine, he's a cabinet maker, and he came to me and he said, Tony, he said, you're good at designing things and coming up with good ideas. He said, I have not a problem, but I'm fed up of it. He said he has sanding blocks, and these sanding blocks can be anything from the cork type ones to the rubber ones or the clipping ones. And he said, I'm just fed up. He said, because I have a lot of different size, different widths sanding abrasive papers like this or the harder stuff, and they come in different sizes. That comes in 25 meter lengths in a box, but you get so many different grades, and it's 25mm wide. Okay, so he wanted something just to pull off, wrap round, and I said, what do you want? He said, some really nice angled sanding blocks. I said, right, leave it with me. Well, this is what I come up with. 3D printed. It clamps the actual sanding abrasive paper into the back, and you can use it that side or you can use it that side, whichever way side you want. You can even use the nose to get into, because obviously you can't have a sharp edge, the abrasive paper. But yeah, it's I will put in a clip of the printer actually, which we're doing on the X1C, and they're made out of ABS. They're printed on like that, and the parts are the wedge is printed face down, so it gives you its strength. The knob is printed at the same time. I've just done some in white, that's all, just to differentiate, but I've done quite a few. He's got his set, and he gave me a list of all the width of papers, abrasive papers that he has, and I've done one for every abrasive paper width that he uses, and he's over the moon. That's the widest I use. I don't use anything, I think it's about 70mm, but I don't use any wider than that. But the narrow ones I do use quite a lot of, so I've made myself quite a set. There's another 4 downstairs, and the beauty about it is you can load them all up and then use them. When one gets sort of worn paper, you don't have to start changing the paper. You can do that later, just grab another one which is already loaded. Same with these. That's the finishing paper that I use, and you get it in rolls, but what I do is I cut mine, and the set I've done for myself is, because that's the standard roll size that I get, and what I've done is I've made them in sets and widths. The 25mm, I have quite a number of lengths of different grades of this 25mm, so I'm over the moon with that. I think the length that I use, I cut them down to, and they're all the same length, 255, thereabouts, 250, 255, 260, it doesn't matter, there's room for manoeuvre. And all I do is cut a length off that I want. Once I've cut the width off, like if I cut for that one off the width that I use, then what's left exactly fits that. Okay, so I've done it sort of being a spendthrift, don't like paying for things if I don't want to. Then I've utilised the widths that I've got, and there's various ones you can use. It's entirely up to yourselves. What I'm going to do is I'll show you how they're made. I will run that little video. It's only a time lapse of the thing being printed, and what I will do is I'll show you what it entails and just putting them together. Okay, so we'll go down to the table and we'll show you how it goes together. Right, here we are. Right, as you can see from that there, it's hollow inside, and I've done that. I tried a few designs and I like that one the best, because it makes it nice and light, but in ABS it's exceptionally strong. Now when it's printed on the platter, which you will see on the bed, it's the build plate it's sat like that, printed like that. You could print them like that, but I choose that's okay for the narrow one, the 25mm, but when you're using the actual wider ones, the 70mm ones, then what you've got is your layer lines will be running that way, so the wider they are, when you put pressure on there, that's the weakest point. Okay, ABS is quite strong anyway, but if you're using something like PLA, which I don't see any reason why you can't, but print that down like that. Okay, and I've done them a certain way. That's mine's marked left because I've done them at a different angle. Okay, one nips better and tightens up than the other one. That's the only reason I've done that. Okay, so I print them, they come off like that, or if you're doing the short ones you can do it like that, whichever you want to do. So as you can see in there is a slot, open part, okay, and in there is a nut, and it's the bolts that we use are 40mm by 6mm. Okay, and now that doesn't go all the way through, as you can see there, but there's a hole there, so that pushes in nice and tight, and it pushes in. You hear a click at the bottom and it gets bottomed out, and then your thread hole, your actual nut, lines up perfectly inside there. Okay, so that's the only, just need 40mm by 6mm bolt, nut and washer. Okay, now the actual knob is printed that way down, and I print mine with supports, because that's inside there and you want a nice neat fit for the bolt. Push that in there, and then it's a nice tight fit. Just press it down on the surface, and there you go. That's that in. Okay, right, you've a washer then. I use a washer. It's a 6mm washer. Put that on there, and that goes on there. Okay, so that's how that sits. That's that part. Then to load this up, it's a simple case of you get your material that you're using, your abrasive paper, and what I've done is I've actually cut it to 255, pop that down there, flip that over, and that's how it will go in. Okay, you don't have to nip it completely up at this particular moment in time. So you can see it nips, right, so you can see there it nips that up nice and tight. Okay, and what I do then is I grab the abrasive paper, make sure it's level, and then nip it there, pull it tight, and it holds it really, pulls it round that nose in there really tight, which you want, and then just tighten that in. Doesn't have to be too tight. There we go, job done. And it's as simple as that. When I showed him the design, the chap that I did them from, it was over the moon, and he said the beauty about that is with your sanding block, majority of the time you've only one face you can work from. It can flick that over and use the other side, so it works out quite well for him really. He's over the moon with it, so no better time than to make myself a set, so I did do. I made myself a dozen in all, different sizes for what I use, and I made a drawer and put them in, so that solved that problem. So it's the same for the wider ones, cut to the same size. It's as simple as that. Okay, now as I said, you can use them like that or you can use them the other way. It doesn't make any difference. But I'll just take this off and I'll show you what I mean by, if this was printed that way on the build plate, what would happen is your lay lines will go around like that. Okay, so that is its weakest point, because you're stretching and tightening the centre part up here against that. So there's a tendency when it nips in, you could snap it. PLA, I'd be wary with for doing it if you're going to print them all up, because that you could literally print them like that, show on the build plate like that, if you so wished. But I prefer to lay them down. It gives the lay lines that way, so it's harder to actually put any pressure on them and break the lay lines when you print it flat down like that. Okay, so it's just my choice. You can print it however you want. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to upload these to Makerworld yet. Remember what I said? Fingers there, pull together and then just tighten that in. That's it. Job's done. I uploaded a design on Makerworld. I'm not going to say what the design, but only something simple. And a guy emailed me back and said, you messaged me back and said, oh, your tolerances are wrong. And he sort of gave me a little bit of grief. And I said, no, they're not. What printer are you using? And he did say what printer it was. And I said, well, check your tolerances of your printer. I said, because I've had this downloaded a number of occasions and everybody's been over the moon with it. Check the tolerances of your printer. It does state that you must check what the tolerances are of your printer, because they all vary. You've got to know. I know what all the Bamboo Labs here and the other printers, the tolerances are. If I want something at 2" or 20mm, whichever, then I know what to either increase that or decrease it to get it to the size or an internal dimension. I know roughly what it is, and with the different materials. A lot of people don't understand that materials are different, shrinkages are different, printing is different. So you might think, oh, I want a 10mm hole in that knob that you're doing, and you end up with a 9.8. So your 10mm bolt won't go through. Well, you should know that that's the tolerances of your printer. Okay, so you've got to know this, and it only takes by using your printers and realizing. And I just said to the gentleman, you're not happy, I'll take it down. I withdrew it straight away, and then I got some emails from somebody saying, oh, notice your drawings, your design's been taken down. No, I took it down. I said, I one chap, and he said, well, he should, and he emailed me straight back, did the guy, and he said, I didn't mean for you to take it back, take it down. I said, well, it's too late. I put something up there, it's free, I don't charge anything for it, and if you want to use it, you use it. There's no restriction on it. But what you don't do is start complaining. If something's free, if you'd have paid for it, that's completely different. but it's still up to the chap with the printer and his tolerances. That's digressing a little bit, but never mind. That's it for this video. It just, as you can see, I did quite a few, and that's only a fraction of what I did, especially for myself. The work a treat, and it's another way of just saying, I know they're only sanding blocks, but it's another idea that comes from 3D printing community. This isn't anybody else. This is my design. I've done this and I looked at it and I thought about it, and it worked. Believe it or not, the design worked first time. Didn't have to alter anything. It worked first time, and that's what I'm getting back to. Got to know your tolerances. Once you know your tolerances, you know what to print them at. You're not, oh God, can't get bolt in it. All's too small. It's learning your tolerances and what to increase it by in order to make it 10mm. It's not Einstein's theory. It's just getting to know your printers. As I say, I know the Bambu Labs, they're pretty much all the same in the tolerances region. My X-Max downstairs is different, but I have it. You can never remember it all. But if I'm printing on that, because it's a larger format, it's a larger build plate on that, on the X-Max. If I'm going to print something and it's super critical what I'm the designs that I'm using, then what I'll do is I'll refer to my book that I've got, and I've got it wrote down, tolerances for different materials, ABS, IPS, PLA, and I have the other printer, which is me Zortrax M200. I have it wrote down for there. In fact, that's got a sticker on the side, and I just look at the sticker for the tolerances, that's all, just to remind me. And my Anycubic 4Max, that's it's not much different actually from the Zortrax, so I just use the same. It's actually on the note, on the side of the printer, it does actually say use these tolerance for the Anycubic 4Max, so I do that. And then I've got the Cell Robox, the twin nozzle. I don't print much on that, so it's just nice to print something small sometimes, because it's only a very small build plate, but I print on that just to keep me hand in with it, basically, and keep it used. All the printers I have are used. I don't, down in the shop I use those. Up here, if it's a bad day and I can't get the bike out and get into the workshop, I come up here, look at what videos I'm going to be doing, look at my next project, and then if I can print them off up here, I will do and design them. So it's just the way I work. But at the end of the day, you don't get anything unless you try and design something with 3D printing. Don't always, I know a lot of people don't have good PCs and what have you, and for the design software, and there's plenty of models to download from the internet, but I find the fun is actually coming up with an idea, putting it on paper, what you want roughly. I always do it, put it on paper, think about what I want, measurements and that, so you've something to work with. Go to the computer, get Fusion 360 up, design what I want, see if it matches what I've got on paper, doesn't always, and then send it to, convert it into STL file, get it on printer and try it out. And that's the way I like it. I'm not saying I haven't downloaded things off the internet. If I wanted something quick, I have done, but majority of the time what you see printed on my channel is I've designed it myself. Like the big hit for me was the vacuum pods. I did that because I had a project to do, and I wanted to utilize the vacuum machine that I have, the vacuum pump, for my vacuum table on my Pro machine. And I thought, well, I wonder if I can do it for 4040 and watch the videos. And and I had a lot of interest, and a lot of people downloaded the vacuum pods, the round one, square ones, and they love them. And it just goes to show that you know, with a little bit of thought and a bit of ingenuity, it came together and they work perfectly. So right, that's it for this little short video. I'll try and get it edited and get it up today. I've other projects on. I've got as you well know, I've acquired the Xtool F2. There's a little story behind that. Not Xtool's fault, it was my fault. I read something, purchased something for it, and it doesn't work. But I'll be explaining that in a video. And I've been in contact with Xtool, so, but the machine is fantastic. I'll just let you know about that. Well, on the my Xtool lasers, bar in the K40, they're all Xtool, and I find them absolutely brilliant machine wise. So yeah, don't forget, like and subscribe. It does help my channel and it doesn't cost anything at all. I'd like to see my subscriptions go up a bit more, but yeah, it is what it is. My channel's specific and I do know that. And as I say at the end of every video, for God's sake, be safe and be careful out there. And until the next video, bye for now. Bye.